We leaving that in. 3, 2, 1, we're in.
Yep.
All right, welcome again to another episode of Behind the Why. Today we're going to be talking about the craziness again that's going on around the country.
It's still crazy.
Even here in Idaho, we've seen situations up in the city of Boise where we had riots, and we're going to talk about that. So stay with us for the next few minutes. We're going to discuss again what's behind the why.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
So before we get into this conversation, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. Go ahead and join the conversation. It really helps us when we get your opinions back to us, and send a little comment down below. That helps us to know what you're thinking. And I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers that have joined us lately, and the people who are joining the conversation. We appreciate you, we really do.
Yep.
Because hearing your voice helps us understand better sometimes if we're off track. We're not going to be off track when it comes to the Word of God. We're going to tell you what the Word of God says, but maybe politically speaking or culturally speaking, we might miss something, and I'm up for being corrected.
100%.
All right. So let's get into it.
Okay.
No matter how hard you try, you just can't get away from this whole Black Lives Matters thing.
It's everywhere.
You know, it really is.
It's everywhere.
I keep looking. I keep wondering. I mean, like, sooner or later, people have got to wake up and look. You know, one of the words, the buzzwords for the liberal camp is get woke.
Right.
And I keep saying, okay, let's get woke.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation with a friend not long ago where we just talked about the realities of history. If we just were to take the time and look at history and see what really has been done, I think it would better inform us going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It would better inform us going forward.
Exactly.
You're aware, of course, we had the riot. I can't say riot in the honest sense.
No, it wasn't a riot. It was a protest.
Yeah, it's like two drunk guys at a bar who want to fight and they're just pushing each other.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was more like that. It wasn't a riot in the truest sense. But this is Idaho, and we're much more conservative than a lot of those cities where the riots have
Red state, Idaho.
Yeah, and so what happened is, for those of you guys haven't heard, there were about 50 people who were organized by the Black Lives Matters campaign to come in down to our state capital in the city of Boise and began to protest, presumably for the defund police initiative or movement, however you want to call it. The powers that be heard through the grapevine that this was going to happen, so those who love America and wanted to see it preserved organized their own movement, and the two groups met. Well, there's an old saying that two pieces of matter cannot occupy the same space at the same time.
Right.
The exclusion principle.
Yeah.
So we had 50 souls who had come down to protest and demand the defunding of the police, which they had every right to do.
Right.
What I do want you to know, though, is that as they came together, they came prepared to start a mess.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting, too, because on the flyer, on the Black Lives Matter chapter here, they said to bring, obviously face masks, but they said bring eye protection.
Eye protection.
And I was reading, a retired officer had said, that's a red flag immediately. He said, because if you're going to peacefully protest,
why do you need eye protection?
You typically won't be doing that.
You don't need goggles to go protest.
Especially like Idaho,
Right.
you're expecting, please.
And then when some of the rioters, or protesters as they like to be called, as the rioters arrived on scene, they began taking their license plates off their vehicles. Why? Covering their face, putting eye protection on, and taking the license plates off their vehicles.
Right.
And then they come into the crowd and they're confronted by easily 10 times as many people.
I think it was 4 to 1. They said it was like 4 to 1. That's what I read.
About 10 times as many people showed up who were like, no, we're going to carry our American flags, and we're going to carry the thin blue line flag because we love our police officers in this city. Our police officers do a great job. And you know what? You're not going to come in here and tear it up. And so they stood there, and there were some people who came armed because Idaho is an open carry state. You can carry. Also, you can carry in Idaho. So a lot of people were armed. And they came when there was a peaceful demonstration. And so what happened is that the stupid didn't happen. There was no breaking of windows. There was no burning police cars. None of that dumb stuff happened because the riot didn't get started. And so these people drew a line and said, you can't come across, not in our state. We don't want this kind of behavior in our state. We don't want you tearing up our public properties. And so as a result of that, it didn't happen.
Right.
It didn't
what I
happen.
read is there was pushing and shoving that happened.
Yeah, there was pushing and
and
shoving.
some bad, I think, not nice things were said on both sides.
Like I said, two drunks at a bar.
Exactly. It was stupid, but thankfully, nothing, no property
Now
was
the really
damaged,
sad
nothing
part
like that.
about this, and I have to go, thumbs down on the behavior of the Boise City mayor. She came out and immediately chastised the people who came out to protest, or what she called counter-protesters. And then why would you say one person has a right to express their opinion, but another group doesn't?
And you know what's crazy about that? That's because if you just read her statement, it's so, to me, I was like, this is so just lefty in the sense of, it sounds really great, we stand for freedom and we want to see our community thriving and all these things. But it was very one-sided.
Yes.
And I was like, it's stuff like that does then incite division.
Because you're telling this one group that you can come in here
As
and
opposed
we're going
to
to
saying what
protect
happens.
you. Instead of saying, no, you had two opposing views that tried to occupy the same space at the same time. You both have a right to express yourselves. No, she villainized those who stood up. This is what I don't understand about the people who occupy the left side. And this goes from Black Lives Matters to this whole concept of CRT that comes into that. Because what CRT is all about, we've been talking about this for months now, is that you're going to elevate one group's rights at the expense of another, and you justify it.
You justify
supposedly
saying
based
it's,
on past offenses.
Equity, equality.
Yeah, and so we're going to say one group now has a right to do this while vilifying another group for doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And this is an elected official, and this is what I would say to all the people of our communities. When your elected officials cease to represent you as a citizen, you have a right to step up. It may be time for a recall. It may be time to go down to City Hall and say, hey, we want to get a recall going on.
Well, that's what people in California are doing,
it's time,
to recall.
Because we have one or two people trying to say, this is what's going to happen regardless.
Right. And what gets me too, it's so crazy. So here in, Idaho, red state Idaho, and we're seeing kind of this stupid happen. And I'm like, I can't even fathom. I can, because I watch the news and I read stuff, what's happening in these other blue states.
Where they're liberal.
Where they're liberal. And people are not happy. Because even the mayor of Boise, right, there's this new health initiative where you have to wear a face mask in public starting on Independence Day. I'm like, oh, how funny. Independence Day, and now we have all these rules, and if you are caught without a face mask, oh my, misdemeanor.
Yeah, and so you look at this, and the timing is so circumspect to me. It's like everything that the left does. Everything that the left does, it's like it's always perfectly timed for a political advantage.
It really
it's
is.
never just reality.
So it seems.
And the whole thing, they use this COVID-19 like a big stick. And nobody's denying that COVID-19 is a strand of flu or a type of flu. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that people have died. Nobody in their right mind is going to deny that. But what we do deny is the way that it's reported and the how and the why of its reporting. I saw a thing online the other day, and it was this report. It came out and said, the rise in COVID-19 cases tracked back to family gatherings, not to riots. I'm going, so you can have 4 or 5 people who live in the same house all the time, have a picnic in the backyard, and that causes COVID-19 cases to raise. But you can have 15,000 strangers coughing and sweating all over each other for hours at a time, and nobody gets sick.
And spitting on each other.
And nobody getting sick. And you go, really? We had this conversation before. Remember we talked about that. I said, when they open up the beaches down in Florida, I said, you know what's going to happen, don't you? And I said, there's going to be no raise of COVID cases in the cities where they had riots. But in Florida, the case is going to go through the roof. And what happened? Cases in Florida on the uprise. It's like, everywhere there's riots, people are straight and healthy.
I have never seen a more politically correct
this
virus.
disease has wings. It
is.
flies.
I mean, talk about high, technology, if it's anyways, it was created to be so intelligent.
But you think about it, and then I heard, this is the ludicrousy of it, y'all. I'm listening to the mayor of Boise's declaration that you can't go outside anywhere in public spaces without a mask on unless you have a sickness that makes it hard for you to breathe, which would mean you're more susceptible to COVID-19.
Which means you should be wearing a mask anyway.
You're more susceptible to COVID-19.
Oh, yes, it doesn't make sense.
Or if you're eating at a restaurant, so when you're putting things into your body, so you don't need to have a mask on.
Okay.
That's kind of hard to eat with a mask on anyway, or if you're 5 years old or younger.
Oh, so the kids can die. That's no big deal.
It's like, so babies don't get sick? Babies never get the flu? It's like, you look at these rules, they make no sense. That's why people have trouble with them. It's not because somebody's saying, well, mask saves lives. That's not even the issue. The question becomes, what are you doing and why are you doing it?
Like, give me a good explanation.
Give me a real reason.
Because even I've seen from actual, like, legit sources that the face mask isn't necessarily, like, even good if you're not sick. So it's like the science isn't supporting
and this is so funny. This is always so funny to me. The left is always accusing conservatives of being people who deny science. You know.
I'm sorry. Sometimes you gotta laugh at this stupidity. It's just funny.
But at the same time, they want to tell you that a guy is a girl and a girl is a guy. And yet they accuse us of denying science. It makes no sense.
On Candace Owens' last show, she interviewed Mark Lamont Hill.
Yes.
And she asked him, can men have a period? And he says, sometimes.
Some men.
Sometimes. And she's like, see, no, I can't go there with you. Like, you're crazy.
Science matters. You know, can a man get pregnant? Well, some men can't.
Yeah, he said some men. Sometimes.
Really? And these are the same people who are leading the Black Lives Matter thing. These are the same people that the DNC support and come underneath. And you look at this, you go, really, people, are we really seriously that desperate? Are you that afraid of Donald Trump that you will do anything in your power to destroy his credibility?
Right.
You know, we talked about this before, and I'll say it again because we need to get people awake before the November election.
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up, okay. Everybody, no more sleep. Okay, little Harold Melvin in the Four Tops. Okay, y'all can excuse me. I just went a little crazy there for a second.
Yes.
But anyway, you look at this. You think about what's happening. Donald Trump, when he ran on 4 principles. 1, he was going to revitalize the economy. President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and everybody on the left-hand side said, that cannot be done. Those jobs are gone. They're never coming back to America. That economics will not work. And Donald Trump said, I'll show you. And he did. The jobs came back. The jobs are coming back.
Apparently, and the June report was like
best
great.
Economy in the last 60 years.
Even during a pandemic.
Number 2.
Good job, man. Yeah.
He told black people, he said, your cities are burning down. They're going down the pit.
He said,
what do you got to lose?
Yep.
Trust me, I will help you. What did he do? He comes in, guess what?
Opportunity zones.
Opportunity zones. Second Chance Act. He comes in, black unemployment at its lowest. Hispanic unemployment at its lowest. Jobs for women at all these at the highest in historic rates. So he kept his promise. Kept his promise on economics.
And he's been building the wall.
We haven't got to that one yet. He kept his
sorry,
promise,
I was just like
kept his promise on the what we call it, the minority community.
I mean, he's standing for life. I think snaps.
See, that to me was the big thing.
Cool.
You know, when as a Christian, I know some people are going to look at me and call me crazy, but I'll look you right in your face and say this. If you're a Christian and you are killing babies, you are wrong, you're in sin. If you're not a Christian and you're killing babies, you're wrong and you're in sin. You cannot kill babies. We cannot. 63 to 72 million babies since 1973 that we've aborted? And that's just the ones we know about.
Even I love Clarence Thomas. I'm like, oh, please never retire and live to be 5 million.
Tell him who Clarence Thomas is.
He's a Supreme Court justice. And anyways, he recently said about abortion, like the Roe v. Wade.
Right.
He takes a stance that, no, if something was in the past accepted even by the Supreme Court.
Right.
He says if it was unlawful, if it was unconstitutional, then we should reverse it.
It just needs to be brought up for review.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
And other people have a different stance. They're like, no, if it's already been done, we keep the precedent. And he's like, yeah, no.
If that was the case, then we would still be considered 2/3 a man.
Right.
Because the Congress of this country said that black men weren't men.
And so I just appreciate, he's there and he's saying
if you can't change that, then we're all screwed up.
Right.
And see, this is what I mean by we talk about truth. Truth has to matter.
It has to.
You can't just have truth when it's convenient. You know, when we talk, this is a whole different leg. I'm going to make so many people mad right now, but it ain't even funny. You talk to people about evolution, right? And evolution is a science. It's the knowledge, right? It's science. It's knowledge. So we're talking about biological science. That's what we're talking about. So when you start talking about science, the rules apply until you get to biology. Once you get to biology, all of a sudden the rules don't apply. Truth doesn't matter. All of a sudden you can get something from nothing. You have the first and second laws of thermodynamics. They get thrown out of the window.
Yeah.
That don't matter. So you can tell me that I can take something, don't add energy to it, and just set it there, and it's going to become something by itself.
Right.
How? Show me one thing in life that does that.
And that's why, which I was like so excited to see. I watched this documentary.
Energy and information. It has to have energy and information.
I watched this documentary probably a few years ago now. But the guy's basically talking about evolution versus creationism, whatever. And in it, he actually cited that this is a few years ago, but there was a huge exodus in the science community of scientists who said, no, there is intelligent design. They didn't say, I am saved, Jesus is Lord, but they said there is a creator.
Has to
and
be.
so they became agnostic. And that view of science, I was like, that's an honest scientist.
At least he's honest.
I was like, that's an honest scientist. Yeah.
This is where it comes back to, because I want to, because I love the way you think. I love the way you think. But I want to bring this back because I want our viewers, our people here to understand this. That we're just not talking about the Boise mayor because we don't like her. I don't even know her. I don't even know her.
No.
I don't like her politics already, I can tell you that much. I'm not even talking about the Black Lives Matters group because I don't like them. I don't like what they stand for. I think that they are being disingenuous in the way that they're duping the black people in particular, and a lot of this white guilt and all that comes out. They're just using people to get their own. They have a goal that they're working toward, and they're using everybody to get there.
Right.
So I dislike that. But what this comes down to is something that Jesus said in the Gospel of John. He said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free."
Right.
So especially when we're talking about biblical language, it's more than just a mental assent to this idea. It's talking about intimacy with the truth.
Right.
And one of the things that I find the greatest hindrance on, especially when I'm talking to people who have a confession of faith in Jesus Christ, is that they have a resistance to truth. You start telling them about the facts, about what's going on, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because they don't want their presuppositions challenged. They don't want to feel like I may be wrong, or that I don't have a right to believe what I'm believing or feel what I'm feeling. And sometimes they're just so angry because they feel like they've been overlooked or misused or abused that now they can be just the way they want to. And it's like, no, you can't add a lie to a lie and get a truth. It doesn't work.
It's just going to be another nasty lie.
You know, if someone was degrading me because of my ethnicity, it would be equally as wrong for me to degrade that person back for their ethnicity.
Right.
You know, one of the things I love about history, especially our history as black people, which is Morgan Freeman said it so beautifully. There ain't no black history. It's just history.
Right.
It's American history. You know, so if you're in America, then is American history. It's no black history. Their history, but in particular to this ethnic group, if you look back, especially to the time of the civil rights movement, that movement had its genesis, its basis, its foundation in Judeo-Christian beliefs.
Right.
And like I said, at the same time, we had another system working. We had a system that was based on Marxist. I always talk about
Marxist. Yeah,
Marxist ideas, you know, and they were more represented by like the Black Panthers and the Black Muslims in America. And you see of those two ideas going all, we talked about this like going all the way back to Booker T. Washington and his nemesis, W.B. Du Bois. And you look at those two, which of those two systems brought lasting fruit?
Right. I love when you're saying this because it really goes back to what we're talking about here. It comes back to truth.
Yes.
Doesn't mean every single one of these people were believers.
No.
But the principle is true.
Yes.
We've talked about this, that biblical truth, it's truth. And truth, no matter who says it, it's still true.
Michael says, I'm from truth no matter who says it.
Exactly.
I'm from justice no matter who it helps or who it hurts.
Right.
That's truth.
And it's truth. And we see throughout history that when it's rooted in truth, there is that lasting fruit.
You can get fruit out of it, but when it's not, no, you're not going to. And it doesn't, this is the thing that's ridiculous again, whether you're talking about the rise of Napoleon, or you're talking about, what's his name, the Attila the Hun, any one of these despots that rose up in history, they had a bright flash and they went away. Why? Because it's not founded in truth. And so
it gets wiped out.
And you can only take other people's stuff for so long. You can only live off other people for so long because eventually they're going to run out of stuff, and then you got nothing. Or eventually they're going to say, you know what? I ain't going to take it no more.
Right.
And the revolution rises up.
And I wonder, because I see people, and I think people are starting to get frustrated just with the things happening in their own towns, in their city, their state. And I've talked to people, they're like, yeah, like, I'm over it.
Yes.
Like, I'm tired of it, you know? But that's when change happens. Like, leaders, even in a local level, which is really important. I think we often downplay the local government. We overlook it because, yeah, it's really important. But, you know, even locally, you know, we elect our mayors. If you got a problem with it, it's within the people's right.
We have a right and
to
an
stand
obligation
up,
to stand
you know,
up.
and to question it, not just go with it. It's okay.
And not just be reactionary, but to be proactive.
Exactly. And the right avenues to do it.
Yes. And so we look at all these things going on, and I'm going, you know, sooner or later, you're going to get the pushback. Now, my question is, will we wait too late?
And that could happen.
You look at great societies, like we talk, and not that I would endorse a lot of the societies in history, but they did some good things. You know, Rome was a very fantastic culture until it wasn't. Until it was like, wait a minute. and then it corroded from the inside by doing the exact same things that we're doing now, and then it collapsed, and it eventually got to the point where it was weak enough that its longtime nemesis, the Huns, were able to come in and destroy them. And it's funny because Rome had beat the Germanic tribes so many times, they just owned them until they couldn't.
And then
and then it's too late. And so I see these same types of things happening here in America, and I begin to ask the question, America, when are we going to grow up? When are we going to wake up?
Let's even take it to church. When you're going to wake up?
You jump right in front of me. Go ahead.
Because I was reading in Joshua the other day, and just reading about all the times where it said, basically, when they were going into battle, they knew they were going to win. Why? Because God said, I'm fighting for you.
Yes.
But then, when they know battle in AI, right? They went in thinking we're going to be good, but they were...
We got this.
But Achan was in sin, hiding it. And they go in and they got their butts handed to them, right?
And I was
like, so for the church especially... You know, judgment begins in the house of the Lord.
Yes.
So let's all, like, God's shaking his church. Let's wake up to it.
You know what I do? I see pastors starting to wake up. I've been hearing pastor. I heard it one the other day. And they're starting to wake up.
Yeah.
And they're getting closer to the line to where they're able to say, you know, this Black Lives Matters thing is a fraud. They come right, especially black pastors, they come right up to the line.
And then they're kind of like,
and they back off. Because they're following that truth, and they know that what they're seeing and what they're hearing said don't match.
And that's why, here's what you need to say. If any black pastors listening.
Talk.
Black lives have always mattered.
Always mattered.
Black lives have always mattered. Now, the movement of Black Lives Matter
2003
is not pro-black. And
all.
That is okay to say.
No.
2013 is when it
2013.
started.
I said
03. You know?
2013.
And so it's like, it's okay to say that.
Yes.
And I think it's hard for people to say that. It's like,
because,
no, say it.
Because the way it's designed is
Right.
that if you say I'm not for Black Lives Matter, then you're not for blacks. No, I'm not for that political organization.
Right. I'm not for that Marxist
movement. I'm not for that
movement.
group. No, not at all. I am for black people because I am a Christian. I am for all people.
Yeah, we're for all people,
You know,
and that's okay to say.
How do I know
It's
Black Lives
godly.
Matter? Because John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that so whosoever believeth Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." He goes on to say, God did not send His Son to the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through Him. What's the condemnation? That they did not believe in the
They
only
love
Son.
darkness rather than
Yes,
light.
and so when I look at this, I don't have to look at no political group to find out if my life mattered. I go to God. What did God say? God said, I love you so much, little black boy, I'm going to let my son die for you. That's what He said.
That's what He said.
He did
That's true.
He did that for me.
That's what He did.
He did that for me. And so, you know, we're laughing and joking as we're talking, but the truth of the matter is that life has mattered. You can find a value of a thing based on how much a person's willing to pay for it.
Right.
And so you look at these cars. I mean, I was looking at a car today. It was $70,000 for a truck.
No thanks.
I'm gonna tell y'all, there ain't a truck in the world worth $70,000. Okay, you may pay $70,000 for it, but it ain't
It's
worth
not
it.
worth
It ain't
But
worth
as soon as you drive off the lot, it's not worth $70,000 anymore.
And so you ask yourself this question, you know, what is the value of a human soul? And you say, the life of the Son of God. And that gives me all the value I need.
Right.
So when you want to know if this black life matters, I just look to the cross.
Jesus died for it.
I look to the cross. I don't have to look to no political party to find out if my life matters.
Or your government.
Yeah, no, my life. That's what I love about the Constitution. Certain unalienable rights. That means you cannot be separated from these rights.
Right.
That's not something that the government gave. It's not something some people devoted. No, they're unalienable rights. And I hear you arguing right now and say, well, no, when they said that, they were talking about white men and property owners. Yeah,
and that's
but it's still true.
And that's where you say, but by the grace of God,
Yes.
these men wrote something that they had no idea what they were writing. Not truly.
Because God is greater than the human mind.
Because He's greater than the mind, yeah.
And because they had this firm foundation in truth, people could come along later on and say, you know what, we're going to fix this because you're not doing what you said.
Yeah.
What did Dr. King says? The black people of America have taken their check to the Bank of America and had signed insufficient funds. And like, but what do you mean? But they had an account. You see me? They had it. They had the check.
Right.
That tells you it was legitimate. Now you got to go fix it. You got to say, hey, fix this. But see, if you didn't have a good foundation, you would have nothing to fix.
Right.
You have nothing to fix. So as we start talking about this, we start thinking about all the things that are going on and people in the world and circumstances, situations. We got to wake up.
Right.
Teddy Pendergrass said it. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping. Wake up. It's time for us to really and truly, guys, get our heads out of the sand. You know, that's a bad analogy. This is what we talking about truth, right? I'm sorry. We've been giving the ostrich a bad time. People say you like an ostrich with your head in the sand. That's not a good analogy. Because what happens
Ostrich lives matter.
when the ostrich has his head in the sand, when they take those pictures, he's not hiding from lions and thinking they're not there. Matter of fact, a lion will not attack head up a full-grown ostrich.
Yeah, because ostriches are
Will kill them.
Yeah, they're wild.
What the ostrich is doing when his head's down like that is he's turning his eggs in his nest.
Really?
Yes, they're turning their eggs in the nest. You take these fish, you see them out there, they're tending their young. They're not aborting them. They're not killing them so they can get a better nest later on. No, they're turning their eggs so they can get properly incubated. They're not hiding their head in the sand. That's been one of those lies that's been perpetrated, kind of like Black Lives Matter. You know, that lie that's been perpetrated took an element of truth
but twisted
and turned it so it became a great big lie. And so those things have happened. We've given ostriches a bad name, and just like Black Lives Matter is giving black folk a bad name. We got to stop.
Ostriches matter too.
You know what's funny is that I hear these people talking about, I walk down the street and a white woman see me coming and she hold her purse and she gets scared. And I go, have you looked at the news lately?
Also, can I just say?
Come on.
Can I just say, I have locked my door.
Yes.
When I saw white men approaching my vehicle.
Well, my point
like,
is
it doesn't matter who you are. If you're coming up to me, I'm like, what do you want? Lock.
Yeah, my point is that these people say, they're reacting to me, but look at the images that Black Lives Matter
bad
and this
stereotype that you're feeding into.
Yes, it's been feeding it, and all of a sudden you want people to treat me like I'm a thug. Have you seen the news lately?
I'm like,
all these black folk tearing
like,
up cities and tearing up towns. Right. What do you expect from people? Come on, we got it. That's what I mean. We got to start dealing with truth. You can't sit here and say, "Well, I want you to treat me like this" when you're acting like that. They come together.
The left has been saying this a lot. They keep saying, "If you know better, you'll do better," and I agree with that statement. Yes. However, people use that as it's almost an excuse to not actually dig into things. Right? They're saying, "Oh, I already know." No, I think it's a good challenge. If you know better, do better. Get educated. Wake up. Look at it. What was that show we watched? A clip of it yesterday. It was on Sports Center or ESPN.
Oh, it's called. What was it called? Speak Up.
Speak Up.
Yes.
And
I forget the brother's name. One commentator.
Name, but what he said was so
brother, you were
good.
Right on.
Right
speak
on.
Up. Hashtag Speak Up.
But he was talking about Black Lives Matter. But you know what he said? He's like my life has mattered since I was born.
1974.
1973 or something like that. And then he said though, he's like, and I respect people protesting. People have the right to protest, peacefully protest. It's proper constitution. He's like, however, I looked at the mission statement of Black Lives Matter. He's like, and then he basically was talking about how he cannot support it because they want to dismantle patriarchy and the family, the nuclear family.
I have a wife and children, so they tell me they want to destroy my family.
Right.
He goes, how can I support somebody who wants to destroy my family?
And I just loved how honest he was, and he was like, just you know what he did? He got educated.
He educated.
So, and now that he knows better,
remember,
he's doing better.
I love this
telling
analogy
others to do the same.
because Black Lives Matter is always talking about slavery, right?
Always.
What was one of the worst things a slave could do besides run away? Is get educated.
Yeah, don't read.
The master did not want the slave educated
to
because
read,
an ignorant person can be controlled. And what is that these people don't want you to do? They want you to run on emotion. They want you to run on feelings and all this angst from 400 years ago. But they don't want you to take time right now, today, to educate yourself.
Right.
Educate yourself and see what's being said. See what they say, really what they say. You'll find that Black Lives Matter is not for black folk. They're running the gay, lesbian agenda. If that's who they are, then let them say that. Let them say that. Let them build their campaign on who they are. They have a right. This is America. But stop killing black folk and burn up black communities and burn up black stores to reach your goal. Stop using us. Stop using us. You're as bad as the DNC. Stop using us, please.
Word.
Get a life. Get your own life and leave mine alone. I'm just saying. You know,
Please, yep.
Truth matters. The Lord said it. You'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. We, as the church, we are obligated to know the truth. You know, and this is not a sermon. This is a conversation. I say my sermon for Sunday, but we have got. If you call yourself by the name of Christ, you owe it to yourself. You owe it your obligation to your Lord to be educated on these situations in life. Because as Christians, we do not own ourselves. You're talking about slaves. The Bible says that you're a Christian, you are a bondservant to God. That means you have an obligation to your true master, who is Jesus.
Right.
And the Bible also tells us that we have to give an account for ourselves. We are stewards. We don't own our lives. We're stewards. That means I have to give an accounting. I have to give a report of how I used my Lord's property. And when I stand before him, I'm going to have to give an account for myself. And I can't say, well, the black party did this, or the white party did this, or I can't. No, it's going to be about what did I do with what I had. And that's what he's going to hold me accountable to. And that's what he's going to hold you accountable to. So that's why we are trying to help you get it right. Because when you get behind the why, you see the what. I mean,
and once you know better,
you gotta do better. You start watching yourself, you see what these people are doing. You say, all this stuff that's happening, ask yourself, why? I mean, here's a good example, and we're going to get off this one. Seattle, Chop, Chas, Chica, whatever you want to call it. Defund the police. No police zone. What started happening? They start killing each other.
Oh, that's because they had
killing
their
each other.
own like police killing people. I'm like,
and then what did they do? What did they do?
Send in the police. Send in the police. We need help.
You know, these people, think about it. People, think about what's going on. Don't just be listening to these people and swallowing their garbage. I know you feel pain, especially if you're black, you're part of what we call elastic culture. So we have this ability to feel pain from our ancestors. We do. It's real. It's elastic culture. It's a whole different way of looking at life. Some of our more European-based brothers have a linear type of history. They see it in links, but it's not necessarily overlapped. And so when you have elastic memory, these pains can come forward. But don't let somebody use your pain to make a fool out of you. That's all I'm saying. So get behind the why. Get into truth and see what's really going on and make a difference for yourself, your family, for your community, and for eternity. You know, I guess we have to get off at that one, huh?
That's pretty good right there.
Know what we say at the end, don't you?
We say
peace.
Peace.
Love you.